Hey Ross, let's take a quick look at the down the line view comparing you to Grant. In the three position, y'all are at similar positions. You both have a very nice extended left arm. Step one in swing analysis to identify differences. That doesn't mean that every difference is a fundamental difference or a difference that creates issues with ball flight. But let's just first review and list the differences. Grant does have a little bit more extension in his right leg. You have maintained a little bit more flex. The other difference is the height of your left arm in relation to your shoulder line. Grant will have his left arm a little bit more in line with your shoulders, and you're a little steeper with your arm than you are your shoulders. One of the things that is also observed when you do that is the position of the right arm. Grant's right elbow is lower than his shoulder. So from the shoulder to his elbow is going down, and yours is more level. Grant has his armpit closed more. So you had mentioned having the head cover underneath the left arm. It is also a very common drill to work with head covers under the right arm so that you don't let that right elbow get too high. That can cause you to come in a little too steep and can create other issues. Ideally and optimally, I would like your left arm to sit a little bit lower and you feel like you're a little bit flatter there, and do some drills where your right arm is a little bit more connected to your chest. Here we are in the 5 position when the left arm is parallel to the ground on the downswing. This one's a little bit more telling and does focus on some issues that were created earlier in the backswing. You can see how Grant's shaft is at a different tilt than yours, and you're definitely a lot steeper. That can cause some issues, create extra compensation moves in order to get that shaft back on the correct plane. Ideally, you want this left arm only about 20 degrees in. It looks like you're almost double that. You're closer to 35, 40 degrees in with that left arm. Ideally, you want your shaft angle to be close to, it's never going to be right on, but you want it to be close to a perpendicular position of the spine. If we look at Grant, you can see that his shaft is close to being perpendicular to his spine. In yours, here's your spine and here's your shaft. And so you have a radically different geometry set up here for your attack into the golf ball. And that's going to create some problems. Here we are at impact, the 7th position. A couple little things. Grant has a little bit more spine angle, and at impact he's maintained his initial setup angle. His spine angle didn't really change that much throughout the swing. He's 44 degrees here. You're a little bit more upright than you started. You've lifted up a little bit here. There's about a 7 or 8 degree adjustment or difference between these. So Grant is tilted more at impact, but he was tilted more for most of the swing. So let's continue this through. I want to see where the shaft is exiting on the other side. Your shaft is right here on your neck. And let's look at Grant. His is much lower here. So what's interesting is in the backswing, I'm going to leave that line there for Grant's exit line for his shaft. And I'm going to leave your for the exit line. We're going to back those up now. And I'm going to put you in the 5 position. So this is your 5. Take Grant back to 5. So there's Grant's 5. I'm going to take Grant back to his 3. Grant's 3 and 5 are about the same, so I'm going to leave that line there. I'm going to take you back to your 3, and there's your 3. So Grant has a lot more of a stable arc in his swing. His backswing arc is on the same plane pretty much or very close to his follow-through arc. Your follow-through arc is here, exiting up high. You're swinging very upright on the follow-through, but very flat in the back, or flatter in the backswing. And so there is a much greater difference between the plane of your backswing and the plane of your follow-through. Ross, I don't know what your ball flight issues are, but it's not my practice to make swing changes without knowing ball flight error, because I like to associate suggested changes to correct ball flight errors. I am guessing that with these swing arc fluctuations that you also have fluctuations with your ball flight, that sometimes you block it right, sometimes you pull it or pull hook it, and then of course sometimes you hit it just right. With your arm arc being too flat, too deep, but with an upright shaft, and then accompanying that with an upright shaft on the follow-through exit. So I know you have to make different kinds of compensation moves when you get back to the ball correctly, and sometimes you'll compensate just perfectly and hit the ball well. It'll be difficult to be consistent with that compensation move. Sometimes you'll compensate early, and the club will come in closed and your path will be left. Sometimes you might compensate late and the path will come in to out, and you might block it or duck hook it. Okay, here's the face-on view. It's a 3 position. To take it back a little further now into the top of the backswing. There's Grant. He's penduled that spine a little bit further. Okay, that's about the end of your backswing, getting ready to make the drop down. So one of the differences again is the spine angle. Yours is still pretty much vertical. Can't really see where your legs are at this point. If I did a box around Grant from the center of his ankles to the top of his head, you can see when he's at the top of his swing, he's leaning against that. He's stacking up on top of that left leg. It's possible you are as well. It's hard to know without seeing the lower body, but something you can check on your own. If you saw a face-on view of your own swing, I want you to draw this box and see where you are inside that box. At impact, the average pro will be 85 to 90% on their left side, and if you're not getting the majority of that there early, you're not going to get there in time by impact. So you want to really start to load that left side up by the time you get to this 4th position. Now Grant has, if we look at just the height of this angle right here versus yours is more upright, and that's a product of where your right arm is. We've already seen that you have a tendency to lift that right arm elbow off the chest. You're not keeping that armpit closed, and therefore that allows for a disconnect. So this is where the disconnect began. What we were seeing in that impact and post-impact separation of your arms was residue of things that occurred much earlier than those positions. There was something going on before impact that was causing that look at impact and post-impact. And so I think you were asking about the drills. I would focus on your getting a feeling of connectedness in your backswing and never create the disconnect at the top. So you'd ask about other drills besides the left arm head cover drill. I want you to start doing put a head cover on that right arm, or some people keep it simple and just put a golf tee under your right arm, right in the armpit, and hit balls keeping that arm down. And just do little 3/4 punches until you feel like your chest is swinging the club and not your hands. One real positive comment is you have a really good shoulder turn here. That's going to serve you well if we can make sure that the power accumulators of your coil here is going to translate to the club head. With a disconnected arm, that's going to be difficult to do consistently. You're right at impact. Let me see if we get you to impact. It certainly appears from the view. I don't have a complete view of your arms and legs and body, but it certainly looks at this point as if your arms are fairly well extended right there. Let's clear that and take it post-impact now. Okay, your left hand is about waist high. Take Grant up to left hand waist high. So there's quite a bit of difference here. Let's talk about this for a second. A couple things. First thing I notice is Grant's left hand is underneath his right hand. His wrists are crossed, and your white glove is above the right hand. So your left hand is above the right hand. Grant's elbows are very close to each other, and yours are starting to separate. Both Grant's right arm and left arm are fully extended with elbows close to each other, and you have a little bit of a bend here, a little bit of a bend there. So your elbows are separating, and Grant's are extended. Here I've taken it up to the 9th position. So Grant's forearm is parallel to the ground here. It happens to be in line with his upper arm as well, so he's got a fully extended arm. So your forearm is parallel right now, but you have a bent arm there. But at that point in the swing, when your forearm is parallel, Grant still obviously has his left hand underneath his right hand. You still have your left hand. So you're doing what we call a chicken wing. And many times we do wrong things for logical reasons, and elbow bending this much often is a product of letting the handle get closer to your left shoulder and further away from as it gets too close to the left shoulder, more so than it is from the right shoulder, then the left arm has to compensate for that shorter distance by bending the elbow. Let's look at Grant's shoulders. Here's his shoulder line here, and here's the line off his upper arm. Your shoulder line off the upper arm. And so Grant has that right shoulder right underneath, almost right under his left shoulder. So this is a big geometric difference here, which causes problems with that left arm, in that the distance to both shoulders is about equal, and therefore he can keep both arms equally straight. If we look at your position, when your hands are here, let's take a look at your shoulders. So your shoulder angle is like this, a little bit different than Grant. Grant's right shoulder has rotated right underneath his head. That shoulder line is almost vertical. And I have Grant in a position where his right forearm is parallel to the ground, the same as yours. But the difference is the distance your right hand is to your right shoulder is further than the distance your left hand is to your left shoulder. And so you are not going to be able to have both arms extended because you have a much shorter distance from your left hand to left shoulder than you do right hand to right shoulder. And therefore the elbow is absolutely forced to bend. It literally cannot extend as long as this right shoulder is where it is. There is no drill that's going to allow you to have an extended left arm in this picture as long as your right shoulder remains where it is in this picture. So you're going to need to have a different kind of rotation in that shoulder. Get further forward, further rotation, further right turn, so that your shoulder angle is very similar to Grant's. So the key is not to focus on trying to make your left arm look like Grant's, but to make your right shoulder look like Grant's. In addition to the right arm drill, where you put a T under your right armpit, that's a good drill. In fact, you could incorporate that with this drill. I just want you to do little 3/4 impact swings. It'll kind of just look like this. You're just going to swing your arms. You're not going to swing really fast. You want to swing in such a way that you could actually freeze in the 9th position. I don't want you to take it up to the follow-through. I don't want you to swing where your eyes and that you extend and stand tall and look at the result of the shot. I don't care if you see any of these shots. See, I don't want you to watch the ball. I want you to feel this extension right there through the arm. So you're hitting with straight arms and you're going to extend with straight arms. You're going to focus on what your elbows feel like. Keep your elbows close together and pinching to each other. And you want to make sure that, in a sense, your hands are going to stay in front of your sternum, your chest, and you're swinging the club by swinging the chest. You're not locking your chest or locking your shoulders and just throwing the arms past. So everything is moving because your chest is moving to the target. So that's the focus of your drill, is get more intuitive to how your chest moves in a golf swing and not how your hands and arms move. You're not going to be hitting the ball with your hands and arms. Your hands and arms are passengers. The engine is your chest, is the core of your swing. Here's another look of just doing this drill where it's just kind of the bottom of the hit. So you're not taking it up to the top of the backswing. You're only taking it back to like a 3 position and just punching the ball. But try to maintain, you're swinging that right shoulder down and under the tilted spine. Don't lift up. So that's all you're working on, is that boom, punch, punch. And you watch the hips. Watch those hips turn, how they drive under. Shoulders and hips, core. You're hitting the ball with your core. When you do these 3/4 drills, I want you also to try to do it with a new arm and shaft position in the 3 position. I want you to set that shaft a little bit more parallel. Don't take it quite so deep, but try to get that shaft a little bit lower so it's not so upright. I want you to feel like the shaft is sitting a little bit more level. It'll probably feel laid off, but it really won't be laid off. But you need to make 2 changes. One is the movement through impact being more of a chest swing, but you also need to have that shaft on the correct plane.